Hello.
Welcome.
Hey.
Hey, to open up our time together today, I just wanted to intro this video. It's been a while since we've seen Carl, but I found out that Carl is hosting a online class for youth pastors. And I thought about signing up, and I just kind of want to get your guys' feedback, okay? So here you go. Here's the promo for it. Let me know if you think I need to attend Cool Carl's master's class for youth pastors.
Some of the best preachers I know spend weeks on a sermon. But if you take this class, I'll teach you how to do it in 30 minutes. Does Axe body spray give you PTSD? Do you spend hours reviewing the latest Nerf guns on Amazon? If you can answer yes to either of those questions, buckle up. It's about to get wild. We often forget that leading middle school and high school students is so much more than biblical teaching, building relationships. It's about nachos, dodgeball, and so much more. You go to camp with 60 kids. You come back with 2 missing. That's a pretty good ratio. I count that as a win. You need to always know where the fire extinguishers are located. Who knew that pizza rolls could be so flammable? Students will try to convince you to do lock-ins. Don't do it. Hear me out. Ultimate Squidby. It's like Ultimate Frisbee, but played with a live squid. Some will ignore the clearance section at Walmart, but for youth pastors, it's an endless field of opportunity. My passion is serving those who serve, especially within youth ministry. But I'm going to tell you how it is. You forget a kid's name? Don't sweat it. Friend, chief, sport, buddy, brosif, slugger, hey brother, hey sister. I will give you life-changing tips that will double the size of your youth group within 6 months. Unless your kids play sports, then they're probably not going to come. When times get tough and life gets hard, we must remember why we do the things we do. For the money. I can't. That's funny. For the money. We don't get paid a lot. Do you think we should make a masterclass for worship pastors?
Oh, no.
That was awesome. That's one of my favorite ones, and I almost didn't show it because it's definitely more like geared to make youth pastors laugh.
And it definitely did.
It made me laugh.
It made me laugh.
Students, you guys already know my stance on lock-ins, and he just totally affirmed it.
Poor Grayson.
Don't do it. Grayson texted me before the show tonight because she was asking if there was any CIY updates, which we're getting to.
Right.
But I said, are you watching? And then I thought, she's going to love the video where Carl says, lock-ins, don't do it. But Grayson, you might also remember
Cammy
Squibby.
just commented, we did the squid thing.
Squid! Squibby!
First off, I was not here for that.
You were not.
What the heck?
Okay, so let's dive in. Okay,
yes, I want to know about this.
Here's the deal with Squibby.
Ugh.
We actually called it Ultimate Squid, I think. I didn't have a cool name like Squibby at the time. I played it in Indiana with my youth group, and they loved it. I've got
serious?
this picture of this kid that's got the squid with the tentacles like draped over his face,
Ugh.
like you had like dreads.
Oh my gosh.
Like we had probably 100 kids, and we had to get 3 squids for that
But
game.
you're going to say you had 100 squids. And
No.
I was like,
3 squids. We had like 100 kids at the Indiana thing, and like they just went nuts over it. It was so weird, and I didn't think it would translate well. So then I get here, and I'd been like at FCC for a couple months. It was in the fall. It was Middle School Hot Summer Nights, which was an event that we do just for middle school students. And I decided, well, I'm going to bring back Ultimate Squid.
gosh.
I spent like 2 days calling around every Oriental Asian market in the Canton area, and I couldn't find one. And then I finally found one, and it was like super awesome. And it was frozen.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I got a lot of
How
questions.
much does a squid cost?
Like $12.
That's it?
Right.
Why?
Right.
What?
So we had a
Okay.
squid, and you know how you play Ultimate Frisbee or Ultimate Football, where somebody catches it, they can't move, they pass it to a teammate, and they're trying to score.
Yeah.
Like, same thing with the squid.
But isn't it,
throwing
like,
it like
slimy?
a football. Oh, it's
Did you
so slimy.
I was going to say, did you fully thaw it out?
Yeah, I thawed it
Okay.
out. I bought 2 of them. You could either throw it like a football or a frisbee, and the tentacles would spit around.
Is it durable?
So here's the deal.
That's a
know what I
no.
mean?
If you want to, this is youth ministry talk. This is real talk right now. The squid that I got in Indiana was drained, which
What does that mean?
What does that mean? It means that all the insides, like the guts and
All
the
of it.
brains, they had all been drained
This
out
one
of
wasn't
the squid.
drained?
And so I just assumed that that's how they came.
Oh, that's so gross.
And I got the
Not in
squid
Ohio.
here for Canton, Ohio. My first, probably my second big event, because we did like the Freedom Night, and then that fall, well, like we did Summer in the Sun, and that fall was like a big like middle school thing. And within like 5 minutes of playing, first off, I had like kids. We had middle school kids who are now high school students, mind you, and they're watching this video. They wanted to opt out. They wanted nothing to do with it, and they're sitting on the sidelines like, I'm not playing. And I'm trying to like coerce these kids into playing, and I get Grayson into play. And seriously, like the squid at some point explodes. Like somebody catches
Oh.
it, and it starts like
Was that
oozing.
Grayson?
Grayson gets like grossed out. And I can't remember how this plays out. She's probably got PTSD from it and doesn't remember it either. But I remember at some point, I think it was Braden Hartson takes the squid that's loosely like coming apart, and he just takes it and spikes it on Grayson. Like Grayson's on the ground, and he just spikes it on Grayson, and it kind of explodes on her. I'll be honest, like there were some people that weren't happy with me that I played that game.
Did
Like,
anybody throw up?
No, but I had some really interesting emails
Were there
from parents. I had a parent who literally thought that I bought the squid at like a pet store. Like they were like, I can't believe that you would play,
Oh my gosh.
you would kill and torture this live animal. And I said, I bought it out of the freezer chest at an Asian like marketplace. Like there was nothing
Didn't even
alive.
know it had guts.
Yeah, I didn't know it had guts. There was just some people that were not happy with it. I'll be honest, I'd go outside and play with it right now. Like I'd play Squibby again.
Were there any new kids there that night?
Oh, there was a ton of new kids.
Did they come back?
It depends on which kid you're talking about.
Okay.
Did they come back?
Yeah, there were some kids that were scarred for life, you know. But
I feel
for
like
me,
I would be.
It was a great memory.
That'd be
I
great.
loved it. It was fun. It was good times. Anyways.
Okay.
Cool Carl says we should give Squibby another shot, guys. The point though, it would have been a much better experience if I would have drained the guts out of it. So we'll just do that next time. We'll drain the guts ourselves. Hey, in case you didn't know, my name's Brian. This is Adam, and that's Maddie. And we're your hosts tonight for MidWeek Online. We're so glad that you guys are here to hang out with us. If you haven't yet, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you get all the notifications. I mean, this is like our 13th episode or something like that.
It is,
so
number 13.
hopefully it's not unlucky number 13. God, that'd be weird.
I mean, my AC already went out on the way up here. So
What? Your air conditioning?
In my car.
Oh my
And I'm
gosh.
That's
wearing
bad
pants
timing.
today. Well, I always like jeans, guys.
Jeez, I
Jeans.
hope
She wore
you
pants
I'm
today.
wearing
Pants are good.
Pants.
Are good.
Always wear pants.
Always
Always wear
wear
pants.
pants. You couldn't serve in a student ministry if you don't wear pants. That's a rule. It's in the leader guide.
pants,
Did
no
you
way.
read
Is
that
it
part?
really in
Yeah.
the leader guide?
Well, I think that falls under
I
the,
like common
the
sense.
appropriate
Dress.
part.
Pants.
So, anyways,
Pants.
pants. Always wear pants. But yeah, hopefully today's lucky. Also, I'm really excited about this. On Instagram, we do lots of fun stuff. Okay, so subscribe to our Instagram channel. We have been doing Mondays with Maddie, but there's been a transition, right? We're
Yeah.
changing up Mondays with Maddie.
Yeah, we moved to YouTube like as a platform, and they're premiering on there at same time, 1 p.m. on Mondays, just so we can do more with the videos. And this coming Monday, it's a doozy, guys.
We're going to show a trailer for that in a few minutes. Not quite yet. I want to save it because it's
Save it.
golden. But yeah, go ahead and head over to our Instagram page and make sure you follow, turn on notifications, tag us and stuff. I'd love this tonight. If you're watching and you're already on our Instagram page, why don't you take a picture of you watching, or whoever's watching with you, take a picture of yourself, post it to your Instagram, and then tag us in it.
With pants.
With pants, please. With pants.
Yep.
Tag us in it, and maybe I'm just spitballing here. Next week, what we'll do is we'll take everybody who tags us, and we're gonna put those people into the pick me.
Ooh,
Get
I
some
like
idea.
that.
Try to
I
get
like
some
that.
Instagram interaction. Okay, so
Yeah.
go over to our Instagram page, follow us, take a picture of yourself watching midweek, and post it on Instagram. Tag us in it, and you're gonna be entered to win a cool Carl shirt next week. Okay.
The one Olivia got was really cool.
Hers was like kind of the retro diner
Yeah,
style,
I
right?
like that
I like
one.
that one
Yeah,
too. Luke
it
was
was cool.
super pumped about his Yoko though.
He was.
He was super pumped about Yoko. Also, if it's your first time hanging out with us today, go ahead and text the letters MDWK to that number on your screen. That way we can just connect with you, okay? I promise not to spam you with 1,000 text messages or phone calls. We're not going to try to sell you stupid stuff. We just want to connect with you and get to know you a little bit. So if you are here and you want to connect with us, just know that we would love to connect with you. Also, we're going to do a pick me at the end. We didn't do one last week. We had Lamoris on, and we just really wanted to focus on that conversation.
Yeah.
But today what we're going to do is if you comment during the show, we're entering all the names into the thread, unless you already won once, okay? Like, I'm just going
Right.
to tell you, like, we're trying to just spread the love. Spread the love.
Mm-hmm.
So if you already won, you're probably not going to win again.
What
So
is
just get that out of the way.
Ultimate Jam?
I don't know. What is Ultimate Jam?
Grayson
are we
said,
talking
bring
about
back Ultimate Jam.
bring back? See, look, she's campaigning. It's a different word for a lock-in. She's
I was
campaigning.
thinking, we played a game called Jelly Toes, which was like Ultimate Jam.
Jelly toes.
Or kind of, I thought.
Oh,
Ultimate-
jam, like jam and jelly?
Yeah,
like
you'd have someone have a bare foot on a paper plate with like grape jelly on their foot, and you had to transfer the jelly to another plate
Okay.
with your mouth.
Awesome.
It's disgusting.
Okay, wait. This is a whole other subject. Adam, did you grow up in youth group? Did you go to church as a kid? I can't remember.
I feel
Yeah.
like youth groups have shifted. Like, my generation of, like, when I was in youth group was just like, how disgusting can we
Right.
make this? And now it's like,
Right.
how can we not get
Youth
sued?
group used to be like Fear Factor.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
eating cow eyeballs or something like
Yeah.
that. What was...
We didn't do that
What,
stuff.
I think
We
it's
had a
just, like,
lock-in.
Adam's
lock-in.
youth group was a little different. Do you
Yeah.
remember anything crazy that happened in your youth group?
Mm-mm. Not like
See,
that.
that wasn't even the craziest thing.
So you had your game. I remember this game, and it was wildly, like, looking back at it now, I'm like, dude, my youth pastor was nuts. Like, how did he not get in trouble for that? But we took this this large sheet of, like, not large, but like this piece of plexiglass, and you would put like Hershey syrup on one side or peanut butter on the other side, and then you had two people who would come up facing each other, separated by, like, just the plexiglass, and they had to lick it off.
one of
right?
my youth pastor friends plays that currently.
Do they?
Yes.
Really? Is it
Yes.
Matt?
Yes, it's
Matt
Matt.
plays, and the thing about it is, it's so inappropriate because it looks like they're making out.
That's
it
why it's
looks,
funny, though.
It's so funny.
It's so funny.
But there's so many different, like,
I
implications
think he uses
with
like
that.
marshmallow fluff.
That'd
He's
be
used
good.
peanut butter.
That'd be good. And then at the end, I think you wipe each side with a paper towel, and whichever one comes off the cleanest, like, that's the winner because
Yeah.
you licked the most stuff off. I don't.
That sounds fun.
I don't want to get those
I remember
emails.
I brought it up when we were deciding games and you let me pick games. I brought it up and you were like, I don't know if we can play that.
You always got it. Like, honestly, if I got emails about Squidgate, I
You can
can't
make emails
imagine.
about that.
I can't imagine the phone calls and the emails I'd get from, like, kids pretend making out, like, across plexiglass. We probably shouldn't even be talking about it on the online feed.
It's so funny.
It's so funny. My favorite game in youth ministry days, though, like, I don't know where our youth pastor got him, but he bought these. He got these, like, giant monster truck tire inner tubes. Okay, they weren't
Whoa.
the tires; they were just the rubber piece that inflated on the inside of the
Yeah.
tire. And legitimately, they worked like an inner tube. Like, you would go down the lake in them. So what we would do is you would take like 3 or 4 of them and you would duct tape them together, and then you'd get inside of it, and it was like a
Oh my
makeshift
gosh.
sumo suit, and we would do these sumo wrestling battles with it. I put holes in the wall in our youth room with that. So, anyways, crazy stuff. Good times.
Good times.
This was back in the day when kids choked playing Chubby Bunny. You know, did you ever play that game?
Oh, yeah.
You had to shove all the marshmallows in your mouth.
Oh.
People died. You can't do that anymore because,
People
like,
died.
nobody.
Because it's all
wants-
fun and games till someone dies.
Nobody wants to get sued.
Yeah,
Nobody wants
that's
to get
true.
sued. Well, hey, so next up, here's what we got. We've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah.
But we had Matt. This is all Maddie's idea. She's totally spearheaded this, and I think it's really awesome. What's wrong?
I just winked and Adam laughed at me.
Oh, and we just like laughing. It's cool. But
It's funny.
we asked you guys several weeks ago to come up with some T-shirt designs.
Like 2 months ago, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And so what we've done is we took all those, we had some things change, and we've narrowed it down to 3 designs.
Yes.
We've got 3 designs that people have submitted for our student ministry summer T-shirt. And what we're going to do is we're going to allow you guys to vote for the final one.
We had not all of like we picked our top like 3
Right.
ish. So we got a lot more than that, but we picked the top 3.
We got a lot in, but we had to whittle it down. We didn't want to
so
throw
if
8
you
at you
don't
guys.
see yours, it's not that we didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's just
Don't be hurt.
don't be hurt.
Just try next time. Maybe a little better.
Oh my gosh, Brian, you can't. That's so mean.
It's not mean. There's no trophy for second place.
Yeah, there.
Well, wait.
Participation medal?
There's no
It
participation
depends.
medal.
There you
Oh,
go.
there, yeah.
No
That
participation
one.
trophy. I'm in rare form tonight.
We're just
but here's the
excited.
deal: if you didn't get picked, no hurt feelings. We had a lot of good designs submitted. We just had to come like down to 3,
did.
and we got 3 really good ones. I'm really pumped about these. Okay, now here's the deal: in the video description, we've actually put the link where you can go and vote on your design. You can only vote
Yeah.
once. So you can't go in there and refresh and revote,
Right.
refresh and
I need to
revote.
vote, actually.
I actually went in to test it out, so I cast my
You did?
vote. I did cast my
Ooh.
vote, and it was hard.
It is
I had a
hard.
hard time
It
deciding.
is hard.
But let me share these with you, okay?
Don't go and vote yet. Let us explain. them.
Don't go to vote. You can vote here in a few minutes. Here's design 1. Summer Squad. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. I don't know.
It looks nice.
It's
Does it? Yeah, I like it.
Adam says it looks nice.
It looks nice.
Adam probably thinks it looks girly,
It does look.
but it
looks-
was
but it's
made by
nice.
a
So
girl.
here's what I'm
So
gonna do. I'm gonna actually make it so that they can see us.
look at
and
that.
we can kind of commentate each design.
Yes.
Picture in picture. Here's choice B. Okay.
So with this one, we're turning it blue.
What are we
Turning-
turning blue?
The neon yellow part.
Okay, so imagine the neon yellow part
Yes.
in like our blue that we
I
kind of
just
use as
couldn't
at
do it.
First Christian
Yeah,
Church.
like our midweek
Okay.
blue.
Now see here, I'll tell you what I love about this one. There's an anchor in there. There's a camera in there. There's a little coronavirus
The
emoji
coronavirus.
up top.
There's all kinds of
There's a
stuff in there.
bicycle. There's a flamingo, a guitar, a kid playing baseball. That might be a crab. I'm not sure. Is that a
It
crab
looks
there?
like a crab. There's a bicycle. Did you see
yeah,
that
I saw-
already?
I thought
the
those were
bicycle.
baby heads right there.
Baby heads?
Baby heads.
What that could be like you know when the counselor shows you the ink blots and says, "What do you see?" Like that could be
It's a
our
baby
thing.
head.
Yeah.
I really like this design.
That's nice.
I really,
I like it.
really like this design.
gonna
Okay,
be
and
a
here
Spider-Man
is
t-shirt.
here's our third option, third design.
This is
Whoops.
It's a picture of us.
yes.
This is the third design.
This is the third design.
Now-
This is like a two-parter.
Here is, this is kind of a two-parter. This is one of
Yeah.
those things where we thought we had 2 designs that were submitted that we thought could work really, really well together.
Yeah.
So the idea of this is like on the front of the church, like on the chest, the upper left-hand corner, we would put the First Christian Students logo. Is that correct?
Yeah, the one up top. Yeah,
one
but
up
we
top.
would change it so like if we're putting it like on a white shirt, it'd be white, and if it's on a black shirt, it'd be like what you're seeing.
Right, right. And then on the back would be this giant print of the Jesus Rocks.
Jesus rocks. Yeah.
Just
Okay.
the Jesus rocks or the whole thing?
No, so this would be on the front,
Okay,
the
see.
front pocket, and then this would be giant on the
Oh, I
back,
see it.
blown up on the back. So those are our 3 options,
Oh, I like
guys.
that.
Yeah.
I really like. I think this one would look cool because I think it could feel really retro-y.
I think it could.
I think it would feel a little retro-y. Plus the First Christian Students design, kind of in our neon, kind of like
Yeah.
our neon design for our live stuff going on right now. But yeah, so those are our options, and I'm really excited about those.
Yeah.
So if you want to vote, go to the link that's in the description, and make sure that you choose. Okay, you got any funny comments in here? What? I don't think either. Okay, people are getting a little nitpicky over here. If you
Gosh,
don't
guys.
want to vote, then don't vote. Goodness.
Grayson, whoa, number 2 is super cool. Also, about number 3. Ha 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 ha.
Is that what Grayson said?
I think we should do 3 on the back, and then wait. I think we should do number 3. Oh, number 3 of the back on the front, then number 2 on the back. So like
Oh.
the Corona with the yellow
The big
that
giant
will make
logo?
blue on the front, and then the Jesus Rocks on the back.
Then we gotta.
Put number 1 on
That
the
seems
sleeve.
that seems expensive.
let's do
seems
this.
expensive.
Yeah, like
See,
the whole
I'm
idea
thinking
is
money and
t-shirts get pricey when you start
They
talking
do.
about multiple colors, front and back,
and
all that
multiple
kind of
like
crazy
gray
stuff.
scales. Yeah.
But let's do this. Do the voting. We'll see where the voting lands.
Rick.
And if it's like really, really close, maybe we do find out a way to merge
We
two different
could.
designs together.
Yeah.
So
We'll figure it
and
out.
we don't know how we're gonna do this yet because like we're not really allowed to spend money these days
This
because
is true.
because of the coronavirus. So we might have to do orders. Like once the
Yeah.
t-shirts out there, we might have to take up orders and
Yeah.
have students actually pay money via PayPal or Venmo or something like that before we actually place our orders. So,
True.
hey, just to recap the week, I want to go through a couple of things. A lot of things have been happening over the last few weeks, both really awesome things and really good things. First off, this past week, or actually this week, is the last week for our tribes.
Yeah.
It's been kind of weird. Tribes totally adapted because when we went into coronavirus, we were like, what, 3 or 4 weeks into that session of tribes?
Yeah.
We hadn't been meeting for that session of tribes in a long time. If you don't know what we're talking about, tribes are our small groups for students. Maddie, you lead a tribe. Adam, you lead a tribe. We've got so many tribe leaders that are in the chat right now hanging out with us. But one of the things about how we do tribes and small groups is they're like a 10-week session. We build them around 10-week sessions. And then when coronavirus hit, that just kind of made us throw everything out the window and said, hey, let's keep doing tribes just to maintain like relational equity.
Yeah.
And it's
Ooh,
been
good word.
thank you. It's been really good for the last several months, but now it's summer, and I can't believe it's summer. Honestly, like it's June. We
That's
were supposed to go.
nuts.
We were supposed to go to CIY last week, guys. CIY was supposed to be last week for us. Here, so we're officially
That's so
closing
sad.
out this session of tribes. That doesn't mean that you can't still talk to your tribe. Like
True.
talk to your tribe leader. They love you. They care about you. It doesn't mean that like your person, your people are going away. It just means that this session is actually coming to its official close. But those
Yeah.
relationships never end. Be there, love on each other, encourage one another. If you guys still want to hop on Zoom or do some like Google Hangouts, like by all means, do it. Go, run, have fun. But that's something that we wanted to like just celebrate. So good job. Thanks for all you guys who were in a tribe. Also, last week we had Lamoris Crawford, who's the NFL chaplain to the Cincinnati Bengals, the best football team in Ohio, come on to the show, and he just shared a lot about the racial stuff that's going on in our world right now, all the protesting, the rioting, and just kind of the current state of our world. And if you did not get a chance to hear that session, man, go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
It's like
It was
30.
great.
It was good.
It's
It was
great.
like 30, 40 minutes. Super cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did he say to you guys that just like really stuck out? Any like nuggets that you took away thinking, oh my gosh, like that's gold?
The part where he talked about like kind of his story in the neighborhood he grew up in.
Yeah.
That part.
Right.
I
That was
really
pretty
liked.
intense.
It was.
I
I think
couldn't
like
shake
where
that.
he is now
Right.
is crazy.
Where
Right.
he came from.
Yeah.
Right.
That hit me too.
Yeah, I think it's so cool to see that because then you realize, man, God can do anything with anybody.
Sure came.
That yes. Didn't he even say that?
Yeah.
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 I need to start taking notes during because
Was there anything else that stuck out to you guys?
His past definitely stuck out. Didn't he say like
Yes.
one of his parents were murdered?
Yeah, like when he was months old, his mom was murdered and never
That's
knew who his
crazy.
dad was.
Yeah.
So, but it was really cool, and just to kind of hear his perspective and share his heart was really, really awesome. If you've got a few minutes, it's only like a 35-minute convo between him and I. Jump on that after this and just go listen to that conversation. Also, kind of in the same vein, on Monday night, our lead pastor Ryan Rasmussen, he did a Zoom hangout with Walter Moss, who's a pastor, but also is very active here at FCC. You see him around on Sundays all the time. And then Chris is a guy that goes to FCC, and he serves in the hub on Sunday mornings. They got together and did a really great Zoom call that was like 45 minutes or so, talking about social injustice, racism, and what we should do as Christ followers to respond in the midst of all of this stuff. So I thought that was really great too. I'm super proud of our church and how we've responded in the midst of all this stuff. So I think it's been really great to have these conversations. And I think the most important thing that we need to remember though, is to continue to have the conversations, and then also like, let's just not talk, right? Because it's easy to talk about stuff and then let it go. Let's like change. things. Let's
Yeah.
do things differently, And so that's been something that I've been kind of thinking through a while now. But anyways, how about you guys? Anything going on, like your life? Do anything crazy now?
Gotta get my car fixed.
I have air conditioning, so
Okay.
I'm not complaining. I'm good.
Wow.
Coronavirus, is it still a thing?
I think so. I feel like we
It is
missed the
in my
murder
family.
hornets. They didn't get really.
We didn't get the
They're
murder
not
hornets.
here yet. I feel like we're going in stages. Like coronavirus, riots. The hornets are coming. Let's be honest.
Gosh, I hope not.
Aliens will be in there somewhere.
Aliens.
I hope not. Aliens. I heard a meteor was coming towards Earth.
I did
Okay.
see that. I think we're good though. So
I was like,
Right?
well, I love the movie Armageddon. I was like, let's send Bruce Willis up there with an oil drilling team and blow that sucker up.
I think we should do that.
Yeah. If you haven't watched Armageddon, it's a great movie. Did you just get shorter?
yeah, I found the lever to
Did you
sink
just
myself.
shrink? Adam's sitting on his knees.
I am, and my legs have actually fallen asleep. So
I asked him
when
if
I
I
get
could
up,
get
I'm
him-
just gonna
Do you
go
need
down.
help getting
I
I
asked
might
him if
need
I could
help.
get him a phone book, or a
Oh,
booster,
Booster
shit.
seat.
a booster
It's
seat.
because when we started out, I looked like a kid between mom and dad.
Yeah. Well,
Ew.
it's been crazy. I feel like things are starting to open up and be a little different, but I don't know. I'm
Both
not
my
really
parents
sure.
went back to work. I still live at home with my parents, and we've all been working from home. But now we're not. Like they're back at work, and I'm working from home, and
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's weird. It's
I went to the
different.
pool this weekend.
I
Were the
have been
people there?
trying so hard.
Did you have to wear a mask?
Nope. I'll be honest. I probably even shouldn't be saying this. I don't know, like if people are gonna be judgy about it, but like we went to the pool, and it was like this world where like coronavirus didn't happen. Like people were just living their life and like talking, hanging out. Like it was like coronavirus didn't really.
I'm trying to get my
happen.
parents to get us a pool so bad.
Like
They're not
your
having
own pool.
like a pool at our house.
Sweet.
Yeah,
You can buy a baby pool.
I know. I'm tempted.
Man, but yeah, it was weird. Hannah and I did go on our first date the other day. It was
Ooh.
kind of awesome. We went to Fat Heads, which is so good.
What is
Nice.
it?
Oh, it's like this. It's a restaurant over by Belton. It's by the Fazoli's. You know where Fazoli's
Mhm.
is?
Oh,
Right
yeah.
there where Home Goods is. It's this it's this brewery restaurant that's tucked in back there in that same plaza behind Fazoli's, and it's so good. They have great burgers. I really like they do their own smoked wings. Like they're so
Ooh.
good, so good.
That sounds good.
They're
Did you
little
have any instances with wings this week?
Dude, oh, I forgot about that. I texted these guys. I made hot wings at my house, and I accidentally
yeah.
dumped the wrong bottle of hot sauce on my wings. I dumped the ghost pepper sauce
Jeez.
on the hot wings, which when we did our challenge, it was like the second away from the hottest
Yeah.
sauce.
It was pretty hot.
I felt it the next day. I woke up the next morning, and my stomach was a wreck.
Oof.
But anyways, well, hey, so we talked a little bit about this earlier. Mondays with Maddie is taking a little bit of a new spin. It's going to be here on our YouTube channel at 1 o'clock on Mondays.
So put your notifications
tune in.
on.
And we got a little trailer because this
Yeah.
week we had a little
It's
fun.
it's gonna be so funny.
This week we got a
I'm
little
so
crazy,
excited. We did.
and this was all Maddie's idea, and I love it. We pulled in some other people to be a part of it, and we got a little trailer for you, a little preview into next week's Monday with Maddie. So enjoy. So that's what Mondays are going to look like next week, but it's going to be totally crazy. It was so funny because I went into this and Maddie was like, "Hey, we're going to do Bible trivia, and I want to get like some of the other staff in there." So we got Ryan, Kaylee, Leah, our children's pastor, and It was crazy. It was super funny. I thought I was gonna like totally suck, and because I don't memorize things. Like I have a horrible memory. Like I can barely remember what I did yesterday. And so like it was a lot of fun though. It was super funny. There was questions that were really, really easy that we got really, really wrong. Then there was questions that were like really, really hard that somehow we ended up managing pulling them out of our butts. So it was funny. It was good. You guys will enjoy that. That's going to be on Monday. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. If you haven't yet, go ahead and grab your Bible. We're going to jump into the message time for today, just so we can spend some time with Jesus. The whole idea of this is we want to carve out time every week to dive into God's Word and to spend time connecting with Him. And this week, what we're doing is we are closing out our 3-week series called Creation Care. And so this whole idea, this concept has come from this thought: if God created it, we should care about it. And so that's what's driven this whole series. The very first week, we ended up talking about what it looks like to love creation, to love what God has created, like earth, and take care of it and to enjoy it and to find Jesus in it. And that was week 1. And then week 2 and kind of week 3, honestly, was how do we care for other people, right? Like if God has created other people, then we should care about those people too. We should be intentional with how we connect with them, how we talk to them, how we think about them, our relationships with them. If we have the good news of Jesus to share with people and we're supposed to care for other people, the highest act of care that we could actually do for another person, the most important thing that we could ever do for another person, is to tell them about the hope that we have in Jesus. And then last week we tied it into with Lamorris and we had the racism conversation. And if we're supposed to care for other people, that means this is an issue that we as Christ followers have to care about also. And then here's where we're at in week 3. This week we're talking about caring for ourselves. If God has created me, I should care about myself. So let me pray, and then we're going to dive in. God, thank you so much for giving us the chance to hang out tonight. God, I thank you for our students who are here. And God, whatever it is that they're going through, whatever it is that they're doing, God, I pray that you would give them hope and peace, that you would meet them where they're at. God, I pray that over the next few minutes as we dive into your word, as we have this conversation about what it looks like to be more and more like you, that you would bring us closer to you, that you would stir our hearts towards you, and that we would hear truth that you need us to hear tonight. We love you so much, and we thank you for Jesus. It's in his name that we pray. Amen. Okay, now I want you to think about this for a moment. Have you ever thought about the negative stuff that you say to yourself? Like, just think about that for a moment. Like, what is your internal conversations like? I feel like a lot of times we're kind of harsh towards ourselves. We're super judgy to ourselves. We think things like, well, I'm too fat, or I'm too thin, or I'm not good enough, or I suck at this, or I suck at that. Why don't more people like me? Or like, there's just this whole train of negative ideas and negative thoughts that I think continuously go through our head. We carry anxiety about these things. We allow that anxiety to penetrate us, to affect us deeply in how we see ourselves. And then when we see ourselves in that negative light, we kind of start to wonder, how in the world could God actually love us? If I have this negative view of myself, if I see myself for all my shortcomings and all my flaws and all the things that kind of make me messed up, how can God look past that? This perfect God who's amazing and creative, how can he look through that and still love me? I've thought about this before too, like all the negative things that we say. Think about this for a moment. It's crazy how the things that we will say to ourselves inside of our heads, those are things that we would never say to another person, right? Like, can you imagine that? Like, take some of the things that you think about yourself and imagine walking up to another person and telling them that thing, like about them, right? You suck. You're too fat. You're too thin. You're not good looking enough. You're not good enough at basketball. You don't have good friendships. People don't like you, right? Like, can you imagine walking up to another person and having that conversation? It's crazy to me how we're so harsh towards ourselves and we say things to ourselves that we would never actually say to another person. Now, I get it. Maybe this conversation isn't everybody's struggle, right? Like I know that there are a lot of you out there like, man, I'm confident. I don't have those negative thoughts about myself, and that's great. I love that. I think we have a lot of confident people out there, but I think that there's something important in this conversation that we can have. Whereas if you're a person that you would say you don't struggle with those negative thoughts, I want you to keep in mind this. Someday you might, right? And so we want to talk about how to combat those emotions and combat those feelings and that talk of negativity, so that when you are dealt with that, or whenever that does pop up, you kind of have a resource or a toolkit that you can push against it with. Or two, it's going to help you empathize with other people, right? Like you might believe, or you might know that I don't really struggle with thinking negatively about myself, but I know other people around me do, right? So this would be helpful for you to be able to understand what other people are going through in order to come around them and love on them and encourage them and push them towards Jesus. I don't know what you guys have been watching. I'm kind of interested. Go ahead and drop some of the shows that you guys have been watching in the comments. Just because I'm curious. It could be a YouTube show. It could be a Netflix show, an Amazon show. I don't know. I heard there's this new thing called Quibi. Have you heard of Quibi, Adam? Mm-hmm. Have you watched any? Mm-mm. It's like 10-minute episodes, right? Like it's all these like TV shows or stories that are all like 10 minutes or less. Like an episode is like 10 minutes, I think. Isn't that the truth?
I don't know.
You don't know? But like they've got like really big actors who are doing it. Like I think like Liam Hemsworth has done one. Chris Evans has done one. Idris Elba has done one. And so like I think that they're growing in popularity. I haven't dove in yet. I think that would be a bad rabbit hole. If I could watch like a whole like season of a show in essentially like 60 minutes, like that might be bad for me. I might find myself like going down a really bad rabbit hole. But I have been doing this. Lately I've been watching this show called Alone. Have you ever heard of this? Okay. So it's on the History Channel. I know, judge me, it's okay. And the premise of the show is that there's 10 contestants and they drop each one off in an isolated location out in the wilderness. And they give the person their own cameras. And so they're documenting their own experience. There's no camera crew with them, right? Because a lot of the survival things, like back in the day, Bear Grylls did his, and there was another one called Dual Survival that they had two guys who were going through the wilderness and stuff. And the whole pushback on those was like they've got camera crews and medics that are right there with them, like they're not really doing it on their own. So the History Channel came up with this premise of like, let's give them all their own GoPros. So each person's got like 3 or 4 GoPros, endless batteries and SD cards, and they're documenting their own experience. And so in the midst of this, you've got 10 contestants. They're separated by miles. They never interact, but they all have very, very similar situations that they're in. And the first few seasons were up like a northwestern Canada, like over like north of Seattle, Washington, off to the west side of Canada called Vancouver Island. And there's like mountain lions and black bears, and it gets down to like 30 degrees at night. And it was so crazy. And the whole premise is the last person standing, the last person to not quit gets $500,000. And so everybody's got a satellite phone that has like a button on it that they push in order to get bailed out. They call it tapping out. I'm tapping out. I'm hitting the button. I'm tapping out. They'll come get you and rescue you and all this stuff. There was this girl, she was chopping firewood with her axe, like a little kindling, and she missed and she chopped her thumb like right there. She just like boom. And like you could see like the meat of her hand, it like kind of flopped over and she couldn't move her hand and it was shaking. And she tapped out. Don't chop your thumb off. But yeah, so that's kind of the premise of the show. And the thing about the show too is it's not like they're not just pulling in dudes who like to go camping, okay? Like they're not talking to people that want to go down to the park or pitch a tent in their backyard and call it like survival. No, these are like survival experts. Like these people teach survival classes. They know how to live in like the wilderness, out in the wild country. And it's crazy. I think the first season, the dude lasted like 50 days, which is over 2 months. And I think that they're like the recent season, I haven't watched it yet, but I think the recent season is like if you last 100 days, like you get $1 million or something crazy like that. But here's the deal. I've been watching this show, and the thing about it is that all of the people in the show can pretty much withstand the physical demands of what they're going through. They're figuring out ways how to like fish, forage for food, like off of the ground, berries, all that kind of stuff. There's dudes who are trying to like catch like foxes and stuff. Like they're doing an amazing job. They're eating bugs, which I don't know I don't know if I could do that. I saw a lady like put a slug on a hot log and then she scraped the slime of the slug off and then chugged it. I don't know if I could do that, but she could. But the whole premise of this, like the whole idea is like these people, like they can do it. They've got the physical skills in order to do it. But what I'm realizing in this show is that 99% of it's mental. Like they all know how to do it. They know how to start fire even when everything's soaking wet. They know how to find food. Most of the people can chop firewood without losing a limb. But for most of the people, the real struggle is the mental game. Because once they like get their shelter built and they've got a water supply and they're figuring out how to get a steady flow of food, then it's just kind of like chilling in the woods. And I don't know about you, but there's something about when we are in isolation that our minds just wander. Our minds go weird places and our thoughts aren't always healthy. And I got to thinking about how this show and the isolation that comes with it, and the thoughts of these people that come out, because they're documenting it and they're popping up in their GoPros and they're talking, they're journaling their experience, and they're just start like crying or yelling in the woods. And it broke my heart to see that. And I got to thinking like, man, how many times have I sat down with a student and they start to share with me some of the things that they're struggling with, and then I get this picture of what a student actually thinks about themselves. And it breaks my heart to hear how negative a lot of our students and a lot of just people in general, how negative we think of ourselves. So what do we do? How do we combat the negative mindset so that we can intentionally care for ourselves? I want to read this passage to you that we're going to focus on here for a minute. This comes from Romans chapter 12, verse 2. It says this: "Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way that you think. And then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect." Wow, what an amazing passage. Like, I love this passage. Here's some steps. Like, so if we're talking about like, what do we have to do? What do we intentionally do to combat the negative mindset? To make sure that we're not in a space where we're neglecting ourselves, but instead we're caring for ourselves. First, this verse says we've got to reject the ways of this world. I'm not of this world. Now, this was my favorite part of what Lamora said last week. He said this whole racism issue, this is a sin issue, and this is about kingdom, and we have to see things with kingdom lenses. And you see, like, I'm not a citizen of this world. I'm a citizen of God's kingdom. And so we have to reject the way that this world thinks and not carry that thought process into our life, but instead accept and walk in the kingdom mindset that God gives us. That we have to acknowledge that God's way should be my way, and I want to see things how God sees them. And so we've got to reject the ways of this world, and that we've got to walk into this and let God transform us. Here's that second thing: allow God to transform and change me. Now, how does that happen? Because I think like all of us are like, yeah, dude, I want God to change my heart. I want God to transform me. But what does that look like? Man, if you want to be changed by God, you have to spend time with him. You have to walk with him. You have to be in relationship with him. And this is so much bigger than just showing up at church. It's so much bigger than just showing up to a live stream, right? Because that's how we're doing church these days. It's about being in community. It's about like being in relationship with Jesus and then with other people who love Jesus. If you want to be changed, if you want to be transformed, if you want to be more like Jesus, we have to spend time with Jesus. And I got thinking about this too. My wife taught me a lesson this past week. There's these things that are called mirror neurons. Have you guys heard of mirror neurons? I'm about to blow your mind, okay? So if you ever been in a situation where somebody else's attitude has kind of directly influenced your attitude and your emotional response, we have these things called mirror neurons. It started out by them studying animals, and they would put animals who were like unhealthy and sick in the presence of healthy and normal animals, and those mirror neurons would start to reflect one another, and that animal would start to carry the same negative impulses that the unhealthy one that was put with them. It was like this way that it was negative empathy. It was like they were becoming like that attitude or like that person. Well, we do the same thing. When we are walking or talking or in the presence of somebody who has a bad mindset, who has a bad attitude, who has those negative emotions radiating from them, those end up translating over to us and affect our mood and our attitude. That's why it kind of sucks to be around negative people all the time. Have you ever noticed how like that can be super heavy on you? So these are mirror neurons. The way this is how we adopt attitudes of the things or the people that surround us. And the consequences then of surrounding ourselves with negative people are going to be reflective in us having a negative emotional response. And so we have to be super intentional about surrounding ourselves with people of positive attitudes. And most importantly, we have to surround ourselves with Jesus. If we constantly allow Jesus in, we're going to adopt his heart and his attitude. You see what I'm saying? And then the great thing about this too is like if you're aware of the mirror neurons that you are projecting, then you have the opportunity to be a positive influence on other people. Like if you're that person that's going in and you're constantly complaining and you're constantly bitter and you're talking to friends and like you just got this negative mindset, maybe you need to try to intentionally change that. Walk into rooms, walk into spaces, walk into relationships where you're going to exude positivity because that's like Jesus wants you to enjoy your life. Jesus doesn't want you to walk in bitterness and negativity. Philippians chapter 4, verse 8 says this, "Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and praiseworthy." Man, if we've got to change our mode so that we're talking like in positive mindset, we have to change how we think about things. We have to fix our thoughts on things that are good. We have to fix our thoughts on things that are positive. We have to fix our thoughts on things that are honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Like that has to be the process of our minds. But sometimes, a lot of times, if you're like me, I get fixated on the things that really tick me off. I get fixated on the things that I wish I could change, but I can't change, right? I get fixated on those things and it affects my heart and it affects my attitude and then it affects my relationships. I mean, if you're looking for ways, like if we're talking about creation care, God's called us to take care of his creation, the earth, like nature. He's called us to take care of his creation of other people, and God's created you and me too, so we've got to take care of that also. Then we have to be intentional with the steps that we're taking to care for these three things. Because, like we've said this whole time, if God created it, we should care about it. So what if you can't seem to escape this negative mindset, right? Because I'll be honest, like you might be sitting there thinking, Brian, I've tried that stuff. I try to surround myself with positive people. I try to be in God's word all the time. I know that God loves me, but there's still this like leaning that I have where I dig a hole and I can't get out of it. Well, let me tell you, here's a couple of things that I would say to you. One, keep praying, keep trying, don't give up. Talk to people. Talk to a friend that you trust. Bring somebody in that you're close to, that you know loves you, loves Jesus, and just share your heart. Find a place where you can be vulnerable, where you don't have to pretend to be somebody that you're not, and let people know where you're at. Talk to a spiritual mentor. Find somebody that you look up to, that when you look at this person, you can say, man, that's the kind of walk with Jesus that I want to have. Unload to them. Ask them to pray with you. Ask them to pray. If you need a counselor, get one. Did that part go through? Or was that?
It's still buffering.
Well, it'll come through in a second, I think. I had to reset it up. But if you are in a situation where you're like, I can't seem to make progress on my own, get a counselor. It's okay. Talk to somebody. Maddie says she's got a counselor. Adam says he needs a counselor. Like, talk to people. It's okay. It's not an admission of weakness. It's an admission of strength. It's acknowledging that you need somebody to talk to. Now, I will say this. If you're looking at getting a counselor, find a counselor that loves Jesus. Find a counselor that loves Jesus. I can't say it enough. It drives me nuts when I see people who are getting counseling, but they're not talking to a counselor who knows who Jesus is. You need to talk to somebody who can give you help and give you perspective through the eyes and the heart of somebody who loves Jesus. Okay? And third, like, it's okay. It's totally okay to see a counselor. If you need to get on meds because you're depressed or you've got anxiety, that's totally cool too. It's not weak to see a counselor. It's not weak to be on meds. Get the help that you need and care for yourself. See, there's so many different practical things that can contribute to mental health. It might be getting a counselor. It might be getting a spiritual mentor. It might honestly be changing your diet. Stop eating Cheetos and pizza rolls, right? Eat an apple every now and then. Drink more water and stop drinking, what's the Red Bull. Like, stop drinking Monster drinks. Yeah, I should know that. Every kid smuggles those into every single student ministry event we have. Like, stop drinking all that stuff and just drink some water, you know? Lower your sugar intake. Get some exercise. It's you can just walk outside right now because it's 90 million degrees outside and you can get a workout in about 10 minutes just by standing there. Get some vitamin D. Get some sunshine, right? Like, these are things that positively can influence our mental health, our diet, our exercise, being outside. I also read this. This is crazy. Recent studies say that vitamin D can help you combat the coronavirus.
I saw that. I went outside and got sunburned.
So now you're not going to get corona. No, for real. They said that a lot. Like, I can't remember the percentage. I saw this at one point. It was something crazy. It was like 60 or 70% of people who have tested positive for coronavirus also showed a deficient vitamin D. Nuts, huh? So get some vitamin D. And let me leave you this. How you feed your body, your mind, your soul is going to determine the state of your well-being. So once again, if God created it, we should care about it. God created you. You should care about you. Do what you can to take care of yourself and be in a healthy place. Let me pray for you guys. God, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight and just being a part of what we're doing. God, I pray that as we talk about, or as we've talked about doing what we can to take care of ourselves and to take care of your creation, that God, there's tangible things that we can take away from this and really be intentional about when it comes to caring for what you've created. We love you so much. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so hey, Maddie's going to get Pick Me ready. I think she's ready.
It's ready. I just have to.
Let me do this real quick. CIY update.
Oof.
I saved it for last because I really don't want to talk about it. So just to cut to it, CIY canceled all of their in-person physical gatherings this summer. So I found out on Monday, I think it was.
I think you texted me at 7 o'clock at night.
I was super, super sad. And so what that means is we will not be going down to Tennessee this summer for CIY. Super duper sad. But we are looking at options at what to replace it with. And so I don't have anything concrete to put in front of you and say, hey, this is what we're going to do instead. But let me share with you what we're thinking, even though none of this is locked in, okay? But what we're thinking about doing is CIY in response has actually packaged all of their content. So like messages, small group content, experiences, games, even worship stuff. But if we do this, we would actually do our own worship.
Right.
But what we're looking at doing
is that you hey.
That was me saying,
hey,
she'll do worship.
Okay.
But what we're looking at doing is possibly doing an on-location 3-day event here at FCC. That would be kind of like, we would just call it CIY at FCC or something like that. Or
that would be exciting.
Midweek goes to CIY. I don't know. And so it would be in person. Maybe, if we're allowed to meet. See, there's so much stuff that's up in the air. Because honestly, we've got to be able to do, that's never going to go away. I'm not even going to respond. I'm going to just start ignoring those comments. We're going to do, this is what it could look like. It could look like a 3-day event here on location. And honestly, I would love to do it before we go back to school. So that would be like early to mid-August.
That'd be fun.
But that's all contingent upon large group gatherings being able to happen.
Right.
And honestly, in student ministry world, I think, at least on my end, when I'm thinking about it, some of these social distancing regulations and guidelines are going to have to loosen up for us to do it.
Oh,
we can't can you imagine doing a student ministry event where it's like, hey, everybody has to stand 6 feet away from each other. You have to wear a mask at all times. And every 30 seconds, you have to wash your hands or sanitize.
That'd be crazy.
Right?
That'd be crazy.
I see people, and I just want to like hug them and high five them. Right? Like I that's just where I'm at.
Just kidding. My mom's watching this.
My mom is too. That's where I'm at. And so we want to do a CIY on location type of thing. And just to be honest, I'm talking to a couple other churches who they were planning on going to CIY locations also. And so we're talking about tag teaming an event like this and what it would look like for our churches to join forces for something like this. But there's just a lot of stuff that's hanging in the air with it. So I'm just not sure what that looks like.
They're pushing this overnighter so hard.
Yeah. You guys can do an overnighter. Good luck.
We're not coming.
Not
coming.
You can do an overnighter at Grace and Getchy's house. She's got a pool.
She has a pool?
She does
I
have a
might
pool.
come.
Yeah. I heard she can host you for an overnighter. But yeah. Anyways, I'm allergic to overnighters. They're bad for my health.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, literally.
They haven't made a shot for that yet.
Anyways, they need a vaccination,
They
and
do.
then I might feel safer. But that's what CIY is looking like. We don't know what that looks like, but here's the deal. I'm hoping that in the next week we'll kind of have a better idea of what that looks like. And if you already registered for CIY, that means you put $100 down for your deposit. We're working on what it would cost to actually host an event and do everything right and be able to bring in some food and pay for some activities. So what we're most likely looking at doing is if you're able to participate, we would refund you half of your deposit. So $50, and then we would keep $50 to use for the funding of the event and the 3 days that we would have fun with. But if you can't make it, because obviously it's going to be August. I know some of our guys are in football and marching band and all that kind of crazy stuff. We'll obviously refund you all your money, so don't worry about it. But we're not ready to make that call quite yet. Give us another week in order to be able to make that decision because everything's just kind of changing so fast right now. So, anyways, that's the CIY.
What about
update?
Have we updated about middle school stuff?
Middle school.
Obviously, camp is canceled.
Middle school.
We talked about that.
Right, camp is canceled. We need to have more conversation before we dive into that.
We're having conversations about it.
So middle schoolers, we still love you. We don't know what we're gonna do with you
TBD.
yet. TBD.
TBD.
Okay. Well, let's do this. Let's spin the wheel. Let's see who's gonna be our cool Carl T-shirt giveaway prize winner.
Grayson.
Nuh-uh.
Has she won before?
No.
Oh.
No. Grayson.
Yes.
Grayson.
I think you spelled her name wrong.
Okay. Hold on.
I didn't.
No, Grayson. Here's the deal, though. If you want me to send you a free T-shirt, I don't want to hear any more about some silly lock-in. If I hear any more about a lock-in, I'm not sending it to you. I'm pulling it back.
Do you want me to pick a different winner?
Dude, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. She'd be so mad.
DYM, Download Youth Ministry, they make a T-shirt that says anti-lock-in.
Please buy her that one. Please. You're getting that T-shirt.
It's so awesome. It's so awesome. I think I have a sticker that says it. Oh, maybe it's not on this. I have a sticker maybe on my water bottle that says anti-lock-in.
That's
Anyways.
amazing.
Well, hey, guys, we love you. I'm so thankful for you guys. Thanks for tuning in this week. Have a great rest of your night. Stay safe out there.
I didn't mean to do that.
You spun it again.
I spun it again. Ignore it. Ah.
Who was that?
I don't know.
Kylie Dom? You would have been our second place winner.
No, it's Kylie. What's her last name?
I don't know.
How do you say her last name?
Kilcullen?
Kilcullen?
But that was a weird last name. It didn't say Kilcullen.
Did it not?
I don't think so.
No. Then we'll
Dunn?
worry about it.
Kyle Dunn. Kyle. If Grayson says anything else about lock-ins, I'm sending that Kyle kid a T-shirt.
Kyle.